Welcome to Sunday Morning Quarterback with Jay Stockwell and Bob Frady.
Hello, Bob Frady. How about those Huskers?
Jay Stockwell. Oh, boy. I feel like Flounder in Animal House. Oh, boy. So, what a day. What a day.
Let's let George describe the day yesterday. Well, it was kind of the perfect day. Go ahead, George.
Well, and woke up after a great night of sleep. Played golf. Whooped my dad, of course. I mean, it's routine. Went to.
He played with Uncle Vern, and Pat and I were partners. And despite lights out putting, I made like 3 20-footers. Pat made like 6 putts. So we were competitive, but George carried the day.
Yeah.
Anything else? You want to talk about the comfort of the car seat for the car you rented? You want to talk about the cushiness of the toilet paper in the hotel? No! Let's talk about Nebraska football.
I was getting to that.
Get to it now.
And then we went to Lincoln, tailgated, and we watched the Cornhuskers destroy the Buffs.
Okay, so George, on a scale of 1 to 10, how loud was it in there?
That was the loudest game I've ever been to. There's no debate. It was so loud. You couldn't hear the person next to you if they had a megaphone. It was insane.
Yeah, it was wild.
It was wild.
I looked this up. The highest recorded decibels in a football game is 137. I think we were easily in the 130s.
On the Jumbotron, they had like a decibel counter in the beginning of the game when it was super loud. And it got to like 115 or 120, and that's a Big Ten record.
Oh, wow.
Wow. I mean, it was really loud. I was trying to scream at you next to me, and you couldn't hear me when it was loud. It was
wild. I mean,
was it because he couldn't hear you, because he was on his phone watching TikTok videos?
This was
Could have been either one.
The least amount I've ever seen him on my phone. It was
wow.
It was
holy
insane.
cow! I missed it.
Yeah,
I missed it.
It was a revelation. It was.
So, do you think the crowd was nervous, excited? What was the energy in the building?
Well, I mean, we just came out of the gates going crazy. Within the first 10 minutes, we had 2 scores. I think that the great thing that I've noticed the past 2 weeks, our opening drives have been touchdowns, and that really gets the crowd going. I mean, you look at the student section in the corner, and they're going crazy. Everybody was really excited. I was talking to the guy next to me. He thought Nebraska was going to smoke him out of the gate. So I think everybody was excited. I don't think anybody was nervous. And I thought after the pick 6, everybody realized, like, we can destroy this team.
Oh, after the pick 6, it was crazy.
Stunning was the defense. I mean, the 7 sacks.
Hey, listen, Mister. Listen, Mister. It's going to be a shootout. It's going to be a shoot. It's going to be 35-45.
Yeah,
we're taking the over. Yeah, no. I told you the Blackshirts would smack you, and they smacked you with their performance.
It was actually 6 sacks for 41 yards, and we held Colorado to 16 yards.
Yeah,
rushing.
Yeah,
16 yards rushing. Wow.
It was such a beatdown in the first half. It was, I think it was Mitch Sherman who said, or somebody said, it was like the varsity was playing the junior varsity, and they just pummeled them all over the field.
And it wasn't like the rush schemes were complex. It was either 3 or 4 down linemen, and they just rushed.
At halftime, it's 20-0. I'm like, when the last time that happened? It's like 2017 or something like that. It's like against like Little Sisters of the Poor. I'm like, this was a big game, and these guys came out and performed. And the fun thing after the game was Matt Rule was like, "Yeah, I expected we'd do that."
Yeah. Yeah. So some moments in this game. I mean, first of all, the student section was all over Shiloh Sanders for his bankruptcy. I mean, they were making fun of his bankruptcy. And then the poor guy, Dante Dowdell, broke his arm.
No.
Yeah.
Wait, he did?
Yeah, he did.
No. Shiloh Sanders broke his arm, but it was
it was
Dante Dowdell's hit.
Yes.
Yeah.
Dowdell ran him over, broke his arm.
That makes sense.
And it was like, listen, Dante Dowdell, their old Saturday Night Live skit that says, "More cowbell." All I could think the entire game was, "More Dowdell, more." Feed him. Feed the beast. It's like, not that he's a beast. He might be a very nice person. But on the football field, Just feed them. Feed. And no disrespect to the other guys, because they're great too. But, man, it was a beatdown of epic proportions in the first half.
All right, so here's the stats. So 16 yards rushing on 22 carries, terrible for Colorado. Nebraska was 35 rushes for 149. They had 244 yards of passing, 23 for 40, and one interception. We were 23 for 30 and 185 yards. So 260 overall for Colorado, 334 for Nebraska. Penalties were just all over the place, especially in the second half.
Oh, I was watching the game.
Yeah.
And it was like the first half I thought was very well officiated. And then in the second half, I think they went at halftime and said, okay, this is a blowout. Let's make it fun for ourselves. Let's call all sorts of weird things. And some of the calls that they made, I'm like, what the hell? And not that they were trying to keep Colorado in the game, but it's like, what are you doing? It's like, let them play the game. This is, I mean, there's not the targeting hit was a stupid call.
That was odd. The crown of the helmet was not even like in the area. It was all like right here on the side of the helmet. That was awful.
Then they hit Raiola in the head with the crown of the helmet and don't call anything. It's like, but
there was the holding on that the entire stadium called. In fact, a holding chant broke out. So it was the officiating in the second half. So the second half was a little disappointing, I thought, but they didn't. I mean, it only got to 28-10, so they didn't really give up much. But they definitely slowed down.
I was thinking something about that second half because I was like, "What are you doing? Just play some more offense." And here's what I thought happened. I thought that they just disrespected Colorado. It was disrespectful. Like, you can't touch us. You can't score 28 points and catch us. And if you do the Bobby Boucher, if you do the Waterboy offense where you just kneel on every play, that was next to this offense and what they did. It's like they could have just kneeled on every play. It still would have been 28-10. They just ran the ball like 3 yards in a cloud of dust. And they knew Colorado was sitting in a run blitz for first and second down. And it's like they didn't care. They're like, you can't touch us. So we're just going to grind the clock down, try to keep people healthy, not take any stupid chances, and just grind you right into the ground.
And that's
exactly what they did.
Raiola is so impressive at just how poised he is for a freshman. The
Yeah.
guy just doesn't make mistakes. He doesn't turn the ball over. I mean, by this time last year, Jeff Sims had turned it over 6 times.
Yeah, it was, last year, everybody wants to point to last year, and it's like, well, he kept turning the ball over last year, and defense got tired. But I just thought, like, this was like walking up to them and just slapping them in the face and saying, there ain't the damn thing you could do about me slapping you in the face. And it was, I thought about it afterwards. I'm like, that was pretty awesome. It was just, you can't touch us. And they played offense just like it.
There's
one point I wanted to make. Jay, you were completely right about Colorado having no rushing offense. They did not run the ball at all until the last 5 minutes when they were just trying to get rushing yards. I mean, we held them to negative yards from sacks, and it was amazing.
We talked about that in the pregame pod. They're one dimensional, right?
They couldn't pass the ball either.
You're right.
It's like so last week, Nebraska blitzed 0% of the time.
Yep.
0. And then this week, they didn't blitz very much. They blitzed more. I don't know what the final total was. But, gosh, they just beat the hell out of Sanders. Watching them on TV, they just beat him up. And to the point where he's finally like, enough of this, I'm leaving. And
he left two minutes before the game was over. He got roasted on Twitter for that.
Yeah. It's like, I don't blame him because I'd be mad too. It's like, you're out there.
Dude, he's a leader. He's the quarterback. You got to stay out there with your team.
I agree.
He was in the post game conference blaming his O-line and his running back, saying, "I need to be the one with the ball." It's you can't do that. He's thrown literally everybody in the offense.
That's where I think Matt Rule is a genius because he's like, Matt Rule was saying in the presser, they're talking about this guy and that guy, and he's like, our team is a star, our defense is a star, and we together are a star. It's not just these individuals.
But here's the thing. I wouldn't be surprised if Colorado didn't win another game this season. So, I mean, they
do have a tough schedule, don't they?
Sanders is out.
4 more
for
ranked games this year.
Foreseeable future. You know, they don't have an offensive line. Little Sisters of the Poor could put up 200 rushing yards on them. And it's like, you know, I got to have more respect for Little Sisters of the Poor. They do good work.
And guys, guess what? We're ranked. We're ranked. We're AP poll.
Hey, it's week 2. It's week 2, but it's good. It's good progress. If you just said we'd be ranked after week 2, I would have, of course, believed you. Since someone is the optimist here, didn't think they were going to lose this game, and I'm not naming names. George Stockwell.
I changed it.
I changed. It's like I don't.
He did change it. You got to give him credit.
He did. He changed it, but it was. Did you
see who's ranked 25th?
NIU.
Northern Illinois, after beating Notre Dame, which was
yesterday was a whirlwind of college football. We had Oregon almost losing once again. I think they're awful. Their offense is atrocious. And I mean, we saw, let's see what else. We saw Illinois beat Kansas. That was a really big game.
Game 4.
I mean, there were games all over that.
Yeah, how did the Big Ten do overall, George, yesterday?
They had some stinkers, that's for sure. They lost. Yeah. Well, Michigan got housed. Yesterday, I had 15 of my wife's sorority sisters in the house, so I hid.
Oh my
in
God!
My office. And I watched a lot of college football yesterday. I watched more games yesterday than I think I've watched in the last 3 years combined. And Texas looks great. Michigan looked terrible. Great story for the quarterback, but he's just not a good quarterback.
Duke beat Northwestern. Oh my gosh,
that shouldn't be surprising at all. Northwestern is terrible.
Penn State ranked 8th, barely gets by Bowling Green.
That was wild. Bowling Green. They have a transfer from I don't know which school, but he's like an experienced 6th-year quarterback, and they looked really good. I watched probably half that game.
But
Wisconsin 27 versus South Dakota. That's not a very convincing win.
The team I saw that I thought was surprisingly impressive yesterday was USC. It's like, oh
my God, yeah, Utah State 48-0.
They have a defense.
Oh, who are we forgetting about? The Hawkeyes losing.
Yeah, that's right.
That was fun. That was
wow.
But they were winning. They were like 17-0, weren't they? And then they ended up losing.
It was like in 19 to they tried. It was 19-6 or something, and they tried to go for 2 to get it to 20-21, and they missed it, and then that ended up costing them the game. They should have took their point, and they could have gone to overtime. I mean,
yeah, I think the coach needs to take another week off because he did pretty good without him.
Yeah, so let's see what some of the writers said. So I totally agree with. Tad Stryker, the Huskers have a lot of work to do on offense and special teams, but they have a defense that will make them a threat in every game they play this fall.
Mm-hmm.
Totally agree with that.
Listen, I'm going to go a little sideways on that. I don't think that they have work to do on offense. I think they have to improve their offensive coaching.
Yes.
They're sitting in a run blitz, like first 2 downs, every possession in the second half. And what do? They run it. Now, yes, they could have been disrespectful, but part of it is I'm just trying to think, good thoughts about what I thought was a terrible coaching job.
But isn't that on Raiola to just check down and run a different play?
It depends on what the alternate play is.
He's a freshman quarterback in the biggest game in probably the year. I mean, I think Satterfield is just like, our defense is going to hold us down, and they put up 21 points on 3 great sustained drives in the first half. They can put up points. It's just bad play calling, and Matt Rule and Satterfield are really concerned. I feel like we saw this last year where they had good first halves, and then they wouldn't score at all because of conservative play calling. So,
yeah, but listen, when you have a defense like that and the other team's not doing anything, I can't blame them.
Yeah.
So I don't know how much was intentional. I don't know how much was bad execution. But to me, it's like you can run a screen pass, you could run a ball, you could throw a ball into the flat to the running back, or run a wheel route or something to take the pressure off, and they didn't. They just like, we're going through.
Yeah. I would have liked to see more deep balls. They tried one, and it was pretty well defended. And so I think they were being a little careful, especially in the second half.
To be fair to the coaches, you got a big lead. You just need to ice the clock. So, we could sit here and say, you should throw flea flickers. And why? Why take the risk?
Yeah. Agreed.
And I think penalties come back into play. I mean, I bet if the penalties, if the refs were a little better about their calls, I think we would have put up another 10, maybe 15 points.
Yeah,
and we missed out on a couple deep balls. We had that one when we were up 14-0, and I think it was Jalen Lloyd was wide open, or it was Nayor, and he dropped it. I mean, it was bad.
Tough catch. You try running 30 yards, they catch the ball over your head.
I'm not making that catch. I'm not.
That throw that Royola made, the long one, where he threw across his body.
Yeah.
That was a very impressive throw.
Really lucky, though. Really lucky.
That touchdown that they scored in the second half that got called back, I'm like, where's the hold? I mean, the guys went through the hole.
Just a pancake.
It's like, all right. But you know what? That's nitpicking. It's nitpicking. Team's 2-0. And we're playing Northern Iowa.
That's what we were saying. That's what we were saying last week. All we want is a win.
Yeah.
All we wanted is a win. And we got the win. It might not have been a pretty second half, but we got the win.
So you guys missed the worst part of the game.
What is that?
Because you were there live in person. The worst part of the game was the announcing crew.
Yeah, that's what I
heard something about that. What was that about? What was going on?
I actually tweeted into the echo chamber of nothing that Colt McCoy needs to work on his insurance license, because this whole announcing thing just isn't for him. He needs to sell insurance in Texas for the rest of his life. It's like,
yeah, that was really bad.
It was.
Give us Gus Johnson. That is a Gus Johnson game.
I was surprised. Maybe the bloom is off the. Well, he had a lot of big games yesterday. A lot of ranked teams playing each other. And so it's you got to put the teams on that. But yeah, it was. Even some of the ladies were listening in a little bit. They're like, "What's wrong with these announcers? They sound so flat. And the other one talks all the time. He doesn't say anything interesting." So it wasn't just me.
The game was so electric, I didn't even mind the pauses. Normally, I'm driven crazy in live games with the pauses.
4.5 hours. Oh, my gosh.
Oh, my God. Yeah, there's
it's a slog.
4 or 5 minute breaks, But the stadium was still just so electric, man. I mean, just the feeling in that room. Hey, did you see the flyover?
I did not see the flyover.
Neither did I. And I think it might have been towards our side of the stadium, because I was happened to be walking back in, and I talked to the flyover crew. I'm like, I didn't see you guys. Where were you? And it was like a big C-17 or some huge freighter, And they goes, no, we were there. We flew right over the stadium, but I didn't see it.
I'm so confused because, we had the 94 team come out. This is a really big game. And then you send a carrier, send some jets right over the middle of the stadium. And then give us some half decent announcers. Give us Herb Street or something.
I love the ones who say, just send the Jets when you're not paying the bill. Jets are expensive.
Nebraska gets a lot of money from donors.
You know what I think? I think that people were kind of afraid that Nebraska was going to lose this game. And that's why they didn't want to pull out all the stops. Because they're like, we don't want to do Jets if they're going to lose. And so now they'll get increased treatment.
Tell Uncle Bob about the light show.
Are you at the end of the third?
Yeah.
Oh, that was awesome. So they did the Thunderstruck. Turned all the lights off. I think they had Will Compton up on the board.
He's crazy man.
Yeah, he's awesome. I love him. And it was basically just saying, like, get hype, turn on the lights. And it was going crazy. But they had a drone show, and they showed, like, 94 national champions. They showed Herbie the Husker. They showed all these things in these drones. And it was amazing. It was a really good light show.
I characterized George and Marion as very impressed with the whole experience, right?
No, I was going to be impressed. Obviously,
that's the big question is
when you get Marion and Mom to smile during the game, and then you know it's a success. I mean, that Marion said like that was the coolest thing she's ever been to.
Yeah.
So halfway through the second quarter, your dad texted me a picture of the two guys sitting in front of you. With Sanders shirts on from Colorado.
Yeah. They were really respectful, actually.
And he's like, you would have started a fight already. I'm like, the fire starter's not there.
Marion stuck her tongue out at those guys, and the guy turned around and goes, you know what you did? That's when Bob Freddy would have just taken his head off.
Yeah. Like, let's go. See,
And then the one thing, one of the guys tried to shake my hand midway through the third quarter saying this game is over, and he wouldn't put his hand down, and I slapped his hand away because I'm like, this game is not over. I've been watching Nebraska football for the past 5 years.
See that seed of doubt was still there in all the fans. 28-0. They could score. They could score 5 touchdowns in the 5 minutes, and it's like, no, this team has that kind of a defense.
Like the spirit of Scott Frost is still looming around the stadium.
Yeah, super impressive. 86,906 attendees, 398th consecutive sellout.
Yeah, this is one of those sellouts where you don't have to look at the paper seats.
Yeah, you don't have to fudge the numbers.
Exactly. We gave 3,000 tickets to the Boys and Girls Club, so we're sold out. None of that stuff. This is a real sellout.
This was a real sellout. It was.
I think now one of the biggest games for us this year. We thought we were going to cruise through our schedule. In 2 weeks on Friday night, we do our 400th sellout game versus Illinois.
Yeah,
just beat Kansas. That is a huge game.
Yeah,
that is turned into a really big game.
Yeah,
so
Brett,
I think that's going to be another good one.
The big boys coming to coach. So, but the home field advantage is it's a real thing.
Crazy. I mean, I don't even know how the centers can snap the ball off. You couldn't hear the person next to you. Imagine hearing a small clap like that from the quarterback. It's insane.
Doesn't Nebraska mostly play out of the they don't play out of the shotgun. They play under center for most of their snaps.
50-50, I'd say.
Yeah, about 50-50.
Colorado you just tickle him a little bit. You're like, give me the ball. And he just snaps it right back.
Colorado only snaps out of the shotgun, though. So they had a few false starts caused by the crowd.
Yeah, which is awesome. Awesome job by Nebraska. Awesome job by the crowd. Sounds like a wonderful day. I'm sorry I missed it.
George, how was the trip home? Everything go good? The airport
was fine. Yeah, everything was good.
And we did not get a picture of the memorial with our name plaques.
That we did not. There's no time.
I gave you one thing to do, Stockwell. One thing. Right.
We'll get it. You're coming. You're coming with on the Rutgers game, aren't you?
I don't know. I think I have to. I don't know. I got to figure it out.
More estrogen rolls for Freddie.
No. Actually, I'm going to my child's parents' weekend day.
Oh,
so I'm fathering. It's my last one in college, so I have to go. And if he's a senior, I haven't gone to one yet. So
got it.
Rutgers actually had a pretty big win yesterday. They're running up. They're running up the score. So everybody's good. Listen, like Mike Tyson said, everybody's got a plan to get punched in the face. And Nebraska punched They punched Colorado straight in the face yesterday. Slapped them up and down, and then laughed at them. And
it was so satisfying to see. It was amazing.
And then all those Colorado fans driving home. I hate Nebraska. Nebraska sucks. I'm like,
Betsy lasted until halftime, and then spent the rest of the time in the Champions Club. Whoever conceived of the Champions Club is a genius. That place is cool.
Well, I think that we could revel in the victory. Let's go for 3 in a row next week, and we'll be halfway to bowl eligible hopefully next week. We're 1/3 of the way to bowl eligibility right now. That's so sad.
Yeah,
2 games this season, and we're talking about bowl eligibility.
Yeah.
All right. So
the game day crew, basically Pat McAfee said, Nebraska's got a really good chance of being 7-0 coming to Ohio State.
That's what Herb Street was saying. He's like, Nebraska will be 7-0.
What's that?
That's what Bob Frady said.
Oh, well, maybe they're taking their cues from you, Uncle Bob.
You said we were going to be 11-0 going into Iowa. Nobody said that yet.
I said we were going to be 7-0 going into Ohio State, and they were going to win in Ohio State. So, you see Ohio State's old quarterback just lit up for Syracuse yesterday and beat Florida State.
He is good. I'm kind of wishing we had him, but I think that it would have been the same as Raiola, just with the offensive coordinator. I mean,
yeah, he's slinging the pill all over the place. So
yeah,
good game. On to next week.
All right,
we're on to Northern Iowa.
All in Summit.
Oh,
very excited about this.
Summit, take the lead, my podcast. All right, so let's take us out. George, you take us out this time.
Go Big Red! Go Big Red!